All right, in this short video, we're discussing the properties of the mean. So there are four properties of the mean I'd like to discuss. The first is that the sum of the deviations from the mean is always zero. What I'm saying here is whether you're dealing with a sample mean or the population mean, if you take the observations and subtract the mean away from each observation, so you get a list of deviations. A deviation is just a difference, right, between the observation and the mean. If you get a list of those deviations, and then you add them all up, you will always come to the answer 0. And this is because the mean is the center of gravity of the data set, so to speak. It's the centroid of the data set. In other words, it has equal weights below it and above it, so that when you do this process of calculating deviations and then adding them up, they will always cancel each other out. In other words, you'll have the same amount of negative as positive, and they will cancel out to the number 0. So the sum of the deviations always being 0 gives you that intuitive notion of sort of the center of gravity, right? The center of mass or center of weight, right? Okay, let's go down to the next property. The mean makes use of all the data in the data set. In other words, it doesn't ignore values. It takes every single value into consideration, and that becomes part of the calculation that produces the end result, the mean. This is great because it makes the mean sensitive. That's the third idea, or the third property I wanted to discuss, and that's the idea that the mean then becomes very sensitive to changes among any individual value, right? So a study that's dealing with people's personal wealth, if you do that calculation 1 year and you get a certain result, and then Bill Gates, does great in the stock market and makes another, $10 billion, that change in his wealth is going to have an important impact on the mean. The mean is going to reflect that. And so it's very sensitive to the individual values that go into producing the mean. And that's good. We want that, right? We want the sample mean to use the information available, right? So all the information that's available in the sample is going to be somehow transferred or expressed through the sample mean. In other words, it's going to have some impact on where that sample mean is. And then lastly, we're going to say that the sample mean or the population mean, whichever, is unique, right? So in other words, for any data set, for any population of data you're looking at, any subset of that data set, whatever it may be, there is one and only one mean. Right? So there can't be two centroids for a data set, right? So the mean is unique.